Welcome to A Day in the Life as an Artist and Mum of Two. It's a journey of balancing creativity and parenting, and I'm excited to share it with you. So after the school run, I tend to come back and reset the house a little bit. I do it every day, it takes about 10 minutes, some dishes, wiping the surfaces over, and just making sure everything's kind of tidy. I don't like working while it's all a bit messy and there's crumbs on the floor and the kitchen's a mess. Wiping over the table from the spills of breakfast and just, again, hoovering any Cocoa Pops or anything that's fallen on the floor so I don't have to stand on it later. Then it's time for me to have some breakfast. I've been eating this granola for the last few months, 3 different types of fruit, some soya yogurt, and then this homemade granola, which is a Joe Wicks recipe. It's amazing. It's great because you can put what you want in, and it definitely keeps me full until about 2 o'clock, which is when I have my lunch. So I tend to work in a solid block from about 9:30 till about 2:30ish. Some days it's very different, but this time in the morning, it's been a mad rush in the morning to get the children ready for school. Any last minute stuff that I can now sit down at my desk, start my computer, maybe answer some messages, and take some time to actually eat my breakfast. And then the tutorials start. So I have a Patreon channel where I upload tutorials. I have 3 on the go every week: a graphite, a watercolor pencil, and colored pencil. And I also have a mindset video and a YouTube video that goes up, as well as a Friday email. So those are my kind of set things that I need to do. So I tend to do the tutorials in the morning. I usually have about 2 hours of filming because there's little breaks for losing a pencil, dropping a pencil on the floor, the door goes, maybe overly sharpening pencils, just taking a step back and thinking about what I'm actually drawing. So I edit all of those bits out, and so I end up with about 1 hour and a quarter, 1 hour and 20 minutes of actual real-time footage that I upload every Thursday, all 3 of those tutorials. I'm working on this while I'm marrying a dog at the moment. It's real fun. I love the combination of using graphite and watercolor pencils and colored pencils because they all have their unique qualities, which I really love. And this is also a really good way for me to draw every day. Before I had children, I would draw every day. When they were tiny, I would draw during their naps. And I remember when I was listening to other parents, and I'd hear them saying, gosh, I don't have very long when they're at school. And I used to think to myself, what are you talking about? You've got 6 hours. That's amazing. I've got like a half an hour while the baby's napping, and sometimes a couple of hours if the sleep was good. And I remember thinking, gosh, if I had 6 hours, I could get so much done. But it's amazing. Now I'm here. Of course, it's a lot longer than it is when you've got tiny little ones that are constantly on the go. But it's amazing. Your goals seem to get bigger. You want to cram much more into the day. And so it's amazing how quickly the day goes when you are fitting in the school hours. But as I said, this gives me a chance to draw. It is content for me to upload onto my social media channels. I record and repurpose lots of stuff. So what I found as someone who has limited time, and I've got 6 hours if all goes well, if the children are ill or I've got an appointment for something, or things move around when you've got children, you've got kind of other people in the mix, I will try to batch things. So I upload every Thursday the 3 different tutorials, but maybe one week, I've got half term coming up for a really good example. Maybe I'll try and do 2.5 hours, and I've got half an hour of the next tutorial ready. So I've kind of batched and been prepared. Or if I'm setting up for something, I will think about what kind of content that will create for maybe a reel. So maybe I'll have my phone on standby and be filming it in portrait whilst I'm drawing, so that I've got something to upload. So I'm constantly thinking about how to multitask and how I can give my future self a bit of a hug. That's what I always say to the children. If you can do something in advance that your future self will thank you for, then always try to do that. It's such a great feeling when you think, wow, that was prepared. Doesn't always happen. You don't always get great sleep, even if you don't have children. Things don't always go to plan. Of course they don't. But I think Foreseeing is something that I've had to do as a parent a little bit more. You've got so many things to think about all at the same time. So if you can make things easier and just get things done whilst you've got everything set up, because when the children come home, you know, they completely take over the house, and I don't want all of my art stuff all over the place. I work in a conservatory. It's the corner of the conservatory, which is a shared room for everybody, and if it's too sunny, then I come into this part of the house, the dining area, to draw, because I don't have to worry about whether it's raining and I can't record, or if it's too sunny and I can't see my screen. But of course, everyone else shares this space, and I don't want all of my stuff out all of the time. So if once it's set up, I can batch something and get it done, and half get next week's done as well, then I feel like I'm winning at life a little bit. I feel like I'm multitasking in the best way, and my next week, my future self, will really thank me for it. So it's a real balance when it comes to having everything else going on. Obviously, I'm working from home, so that generally gets interrupted by packages arriving, people knocking on the door for whatever reason, not to mention all of the housework that I try to get done throughout the day. What I used to do was get a little bit of that done, then I'll sit down and work, or then I'll just hang the washing out, and then I'll do something else, and the day was completely broken up. Now I try to do it in batches. As I said, I try to foresee, and then I don't get distracted by housework. And what was happening was I was using the chance to do the washing, put the washing on the line, as procrastination in a way. Because I've got my set things that I need to do every week now, I know what I need to do, and I make sure that the day before I'll write myself a little list of the things that I need to do. Some of it are kind of must get done, maybe about 2 or 3 things, and then I add a few more things that would be nice if I got them done too. And if I don't get them done, they go on to the next day. But I think being organised as a parent is really important. When you're trying to balance work, keeping the house ticking over, you know, cooking the meals, sorting out the kids, homework, their emotional issues that they're having during the day that are so very important to them, and they need that time for you to be able to listen to them and not have one ear somewhere, one ear someone else maybe checking your phone. I really try to separate work from family life, and it's not easy when you're working from home. It's not easy when you've got your own business, but I think if you're mindful of it, then you're halfway there. If you're kind of absent-mindedly doing these things, or it doesn't matter and I'm constantly on my phone and please don't interrupt me, then I just think it leads to kind of problems in the future. You've constantly got this guilt going on. So after the tutorials, I might get a little bit of admin done, a bit of editing, and just try and get any of my list done. That usually it's editing, and then maybe getting parts of the YouTube video done, answering messages from members from my Patreon channel, or comments on my social medias, Facebook and Instagram, or YouTube actually. So just making sure that all of the admin, I've got time for that as well, not just the drawing, although it would be lovely to just draw constantly. I have to spend quite a lot of time. It's probably 70% computer work, 30% art. And then I also upload mindset videos for my Tranquil Tigers. So I'm really interested in the mindset behind the art and creativity. And we tend to be kind of certain personality types. So I'm really interested in that. I'm a trained hypnotherapist, and so I use some of this to help my Patreons in a creative mindset magic tier on my Patreon, and I'll upload videos. This was a bit of behind the scenes, reading my notes as I'm working. As I said, just setting something up. So if I've got my whole setup here, then it's good to try and batch and do maybe a couple of videos at the same time. I also do Q&As for my membership as well. I do lives. I do interviews as well. I've got a Facebook group, and so getting that done. And then finally, about between 2 and half 2, I might sit down for my lunch, take a little breather before I've then got to go and pick up the kids again for school. It's amazing how quickly it goes. Just getting a bit of sunshine this time of year is really important, just to take a bit of time out, to have a drink, just look at the wildlife, put your feet on the grass, can just have a little bit of a breather before the school run, and then it's bedlam again, and it's all straight into homework, straight into full on with the children and getting dinner ready, and then the bedtime routine after that as well. So picking the children up from school, I leave the house about 3 just to pick them up, and then in the evening after dinner I might get a little bit of time to myself to paint or to draw something that's for my own pleasure, that I'm not actually talking all the way through, which is what I do with my tutorials, which I really love. But it's nice to just have an audiobook on or some music where I can just sit and do something that kind of fulfills my creativity. So I think if you're working for yourself, and if you've got children, and you're an artist, or anybody really, it's really important that you have time to yourself, time to wind down. Self-care is not selfish, it's actually really important that you fill yourself up. You can't give from an empty cup, as they say, and I think it's really important that I have my own little outlet of creativity as well. And I'm really enjoying acrylics at the moment. I'm doing a wolf and bit of my freedom, splatters and things like that. So being an artist and a mum is beautiful and chaotic. It's definitely a journey, and it's about embracing the messiness in life and finding beauty in the small moments, these little moments of painting. Maybe I'll get an hour in, maybe a few more if it's sunny and it's summer and the light's still there. But what I would say is it's really important just to listen to your gut, go with your intuition, do the things that fill you with joy, do the things that you enjoy doing with work, and it doesn't feel like a job. It feels more exciting to do it instead of doing things that you think you should be doing. It's not sustainable that way. That's how it leads to burnout. And so just checking in with yourself and making sure you take the time for yourself to wind down in the evening and have that division between working from home and your family life as well. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I look forward to seeing you next time. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments if you have any tips for working from home, being a parent and balancing being a full-time artist too. See you soon. Bye for now.